Have you ever stopped to question something you've been told your whole life? Something as sacred and fundamental as the very place where God himself descended to meet Moses. For centuries, we've believed we know the location of Mount Sinai, the mountain where fire rained down from heaven, the earth trembled, and a people were shaped by divine law. But what if I told you that what we've all been led to believe could be completely wrong? Imagine this. A mountain, isolated, untouched, and cloaked in mystery. It's not where you think it is. Not in Egypt, not where we've been told to look. Instead, what if it's in a land where the Bible itself says it should be, hidden deep within the rugged landscapes of Arabia? And what if the physical evidence, the rock, the altar, the very terrain, is still there, almost as if frozen in time, waiting to be discovered? This isn't just some ancient legend. This is a mystery that could change everything we know about the Bible. And in this video, we're going to uncover the truth behind this hidden mountain. We'll explore not only what the Bible says, but also the compelling evidence that could prove the true Mount Sinai lies in a place no one expected. But why has this evidence been hidden? Why is the world still blind to it? Stay with me, because what you're about to learn might challenge everything you've ever believed about the Bible, history, and the very foundations of faith. Could the true Mount Sinai be waiting to reveal itself to this generation? Let's dive in and find out together. The story of Mount Sinai is one that resonates deeply within the hearts of millions, especially those who adhere to the Judeo-Christian faith. It is not simply a place. Mount Sinai is a symbol, an anchor for the covenant between God and his people. In the Bible, this mountain is a divine threshold, a sacred boundary where the Creator revealed his laws, delivered his commandments, and provided his guidance. Yet, the enduring image we have of Mount Sinai is tied primarily to its traditional location, the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, a place etched in religious and historical narratives as the place where Moses met God in the wilderness. But, as with all traditions, there lies an inherent risk in accepting something as truth simply because it has been passed down through generations without question. The conventional view of Mount Sinai has remained largely unchanged for centuries. Pilgrims have traveled to the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, guided by long-standing traditions and maps that trace back to the early Christian and Jewish pilgrims. When one mentions Mount Sinai, many immediately picture the towering peak of Mount St. Catherine, nestled amidst the stark, desert landscape of the Sinai Peninsula. Here, atop the craggy summit, ancient Christian monasteries have been built, following centuries of belief that this was the very mountain where Moses encountered God in a burning bush and later ascended to receive the 10 Commandments. This widely accepted location of Mount Sinai has become the epicenter for a flourishing tourism industry, as well as a significant pilgrimage site for those who seek to trace the steps of Moses and relive the grandeur of biblical history. The location has its supporters, including many early Christian scholars who asserted Mount Sinai's position in Egypt. The establishment of the monastery of St. Catherine in the 6th century further cemented this traditional view. Its strategic placement in the shadow of Mount St. Catherine itself gave legitimacy to the belief that this was the sacred mountain mentioned in the Bible. For hundreds of years, this understanding has been accepted by both Jewish and Christian traditions. But should we accept this notion unquestioningly, simply because it has been upheld for so long? In the Bible, the book of Exodus offers a vivid account of the Israelites' journey to Mount Sinai. After their miraculous escape from slavery in Egypt, the Israelites are led through the desert by Moses, eventually reaching the foot of Mount Sinai. It is here that Moses climbs the mountain to commune with God, while the people below prepare for the divine revelation that will forever change their destiny. Exodus 19 verses 16 to 18 describes an awe-inspiring scene. On the morning of the 3rd day there was thunder and lightning, with a thick cloud over the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. This powerful imagery paints Mount Sinai as more than just a geographical feature. It becomes a beacon of divine presence, awe, and majesty. The very earth quakes in anticipation of God's descent to deliver his commandments. The traditional Sinai is also an important geographical marker in the Exodus narrative. After fleeing Egypt, the Israelites traveled for 3 months before reaching Sinai. The scriptures speak of the Israelites camping at the foot of the mountain, where Moses ascends to receive the law. Exodus 19 verse 3 states, Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "This is what you are to say to the descendants of Jacob and what you are to tell the people of Israel." This momentous encounter would serve as the foundation of not only Israelite law but also the moral and spiritual structure of the Judeo-Christian faith for millennia. Now, when we look at the Sinai Peninsula and the traditional Mount Sinai in Egypt, we find that this location fits the scriptural description in many ways. Mount St. Catherine, towering over 2,600 meters, 8,500 feet, above sea level, is the highest peak in the region, and it is indeed a formidable presence on the barren desert landscape. The mountain is geographically isolated, surrounded by rocky terrain that contributes to its sense of otherworldliness. This rugged environment could easily evoke the drama described in the Bible: thunder, lightning, smoke, and fire. As Moses ascended the mountain to meet with God, the awe and terror of the Israelites below would likely have been mirrored in the harsh, unrelenting desert that surrounds the peak. Furthermore, the Sinai Peninsula has long been recognized as a key location in ancient Egyptian history. Its proximity to Egypt would have made it a convenient place for Moses to lead his people to after their escape from Pharaoh's army. In addition to its physical attributes, the Sinai Peninsula holds deep theological significance. For many Christians and Jews, the idea that God chose this particular mountain to reveal his divine will is a powerful affirmation of the sacredness of this land. This belief ties into the overarching narrative of God's covenant with the Israelites. For Christians, the significance of Mount Sinai extends even further as it marks a pivotal moment in salvation history, where God's law was given to the people, setting the stage for the coming of Christ and the establishment of a new covenant. Mount Sinai, then, is not only a physical place but a spiritual symbol, one that connects God's revelation to humanity, binding heaven and earth together through divine law. However, it is essential to understand that while this location has been the subject of religious reverence for centuries, there is still much to be debated. One question that looms large is whether the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt is truly the site of the original Mount Sinai described in the Bible. The truth is, no definitive archaeological evidence has ever conclusively pinpointed the exact location of the biblical mountain. Despite centuries of exploration, investigation, and pilgrimage, scholars have yet to uncover definitive proof that Mount St. Catherine, or any mountain in the Sinai Peninsula, is the same as the Mount Sinai of Moses' time. Additionally, some scholars and historians have questioned the traditional view of the location, suggesting that the Sinai Peninsula, while historically significant, may not be the right place. Could the true Mount Sinai lie somewhere else? This is a question that continues to intrigue researchers, theologians, and archaeologists alike. From a theological perspective, we must also ask ourselves, why has God allowed such ambiguity surrounding the location of Mount Sinai? If this mountain was the site of such a crucial divine revelation, why has its exact location remained hidden for so long? Could it be that the significance of the mountain is less about its physical geography and more about the spiritual lesson it imparts? Mount Sinai is symbolic of God's revelation and his covenant with his people, a covenant that transcends geography and location. The true mountain of God is not confined to a single place but is a reminder that God's presence is felt wherever we choose to seek him. Moreover, while the traditional view of Mount Sinai in Egypt is deeply ingrained in our religious understanding, it is worth reflecting on the possibility that our understanding of this location may need to evolve. What if the traditional location of Mount Sinai is not the place that God intended for us to focus on? What if there is another, lesser-known mountain, one that has been hidden in plain sight, waiting for a new generation to discover its significance? As someone who has spent many years studying the Bible and reflecting on the deep mysteries it holds, I believe that this is a crucial question we must confront. The search for the true Mount Sinai is not simply about archaeology. It is about a deeper spiritual journey. Whether or not the Sinai Peninsula is the correct location is ultimately secondary to the lessons we can learn from the journey itself. Just as the Israelites wandered through the desert, searching for the promised land, we too are on a spiritual journey, seeking truth and understanding in a world that often obscures the divine. The very act of seeking, of questioning long-held beliefs, is an integral part of our faith. In conclusion, the traditional story of Mount Sinai, with its connection to the Sinai Peninsula and the events of Moses' encounter with God, has shaped the religious landscape for centuries. While this location has been revered for its biblical significance, there remain unanswered questions and unresolved mysteries. The search for the true Mount Sinai is not just an intellectual pursuit. It is a spiritual quest. The true meaning of Mount Sinai may lie not in the geography of the mountain but in the divine lessons it teaches. And perhaps, as we continue to seek answers, we will come to understand that the mountain is not a place to be found but a journey to be experienced. For centuries, the Sinai Peninsula has held a firm grip on our collective understanding of the biblical Mount Sinai. The desert winds, the sacred rocks, the ancient monasteries, all have intertwined to create a narrative that speaks to the heart of millions. Yet, as we've journeyed deeper into both modern archaeology and biblical scholarship, a new and surprising revelation has begun to take shape. Could it be that the traditional location of Mount Sinai is not the true site at all? Could it be that the real Mount Sinai, the one where Moses encountered God in fire and smoke, is actually located in the rugged, almost untouched desert landscapes of Arabia? In recent decades, a growing body of evidence has been unearthed, challenging the long-held belief that the Sinai Peninsula is the true location of Mount Sinai. Instead, researchers have been uncovering compelling proof that points toward a more remote, almost hidden mountain located in the northwest corner of Saudi Arabia, known as Jebel Al-Lawz or Mount Lawz. This peak, isolated and protected by the desert's harsh environment, has been gaining traction as a candidate for the biblical Mount Sinai. What makes this discovery so significant is not just the mountain itself, but the mountain's uncanny alignment with the biblical narrative of Exodus. Before we explore the evidence further, it's important to pause and reflect on why this revelation is so significant. The idea that Mount Sinai could be somewhere other than where we've traditionally believed it to be forces us to challenge the narratives we've accepted for centuries. It's not simply about geography. It's about the very nature of how we understand biblical history, the relationship between geography and sacred events, and the way in which our faith interacts with archaeology. What does it mean for the faith community if we are to embrace this new interpretation? Is it a threat to the authenticity of the Bible, or could it be a deeper revelation, calling us to revisit the very essence of our faith? At first glance, Jebel Al-Lawz may appear just like any other mountain in the Saudi Arabian desert, rugged, isolated, and barren. But a closer look reveals something altogether different. There is something about this mountain that resonates with the biblical description of Mount Sinai, a sense of mystery, awe, and the possibility of divine intervention. The mountain's isolated nature adds a layer of intrigue. Why has it been overlooked for so long? Could it be that the true Mount Sinai was always hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment in history to be rediscovered? One of the most compelling pieces of evidence in support of Jebel Al-Lawz as the true Mount Sinai is its striking physical features. In the Bible, Mount Sinai is described as a place where God's presence manifested in dramatic ways. The mountain trembled with fire, smoke, and thunder, and the Israelites were warned not to approach or touch it, for the consequences would be severe. Exodus 19 verse 18 vividly captures this scene. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. This powerful image of a mountain consumed by fire and smoke could have easily been painted from the summit of Jebel Al-Lawz. What is so striking about Jebel Al-Lawz is the physical evidence of this biblical event. The summit of the mountain is visibly scorched, blackened rock that suggests the mountain may have been subjected to an intense heat source. Unlike other mountains in the area, Jebel Al-Lawz shows evidence of having been exposed to extreme temperatures. There is no volcanic activity in the region to explain this anomaly, which leaves us with the unsettling possibility that the scorching of the mountain may have been caused by something far more extraordinary, something like the fire described in Exodus 19. In addition to the scorched summit, the area surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz contains other telltale signs that align with the biblical description of Mount Sinai. The presence of large, smooth, weathered rocks suggests that water once flowed through the area, a key feature mentioned in the book of Exodus. In Exodus 17 verse 6, Moses strikes a rock to bring forth water for the Israelites. The Bible states, "I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb, Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink. In the vicinity of Jebel Al-Lawz, researchers have found a massive, split rock, nearly 18 meters, 59 feet, tall, that bears all the marks of this biblical event. The rock is divided in half, and at the base of the rock, researchers have found deep channels that appear to have been carved by a significant flow of water. The presence of these features in such a harsh desert environment is striking, especially considering that the region receives very little rainfall. The resemblance to the biblical account is undeniable. Could this be the same rock Moses struck to provide water for the Israelites? Another fascinating discovery near Jebel Al-Lawz is an ancient altar made of large, flat stones. The altar is a key element in the biblical narrative, where Moses and the Israelites made sacrifices and offerings to God. In Exodus 24 verse 4, we are told, "Moses then wrote down everything the Lord had said. He got up early the next morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars, one for each of the tribes of Israel." In the area around Jebel Al-Lawz, archaeologists have found what appears to be an altar, built with large, flat stones. Around the altar are carvings of bulls, which bear an uncanny resemblance to the golden calf incident described in Exodus 32, where the Israelites crafted a golden calf and worshipped it while Moses was receiving the 10 Commandments. The presence of these carvings further strengthens the argument that this location is the site where these pivotal events took place. But why has Jebel Al-Lawz remained hidden from the public eye for so long? The answer may lie in the isolation of the region. Jebel Al-Lawz is located in a remote and often inhospitable part of Saudi Arabia, far from the tourist routes and exploration paths that have made the Sinai Peninsula so well known. Saudi Arabia has long placed strict restrictions on access to the region, particularly in the area around Jebel Al-Lawz. This has raised suspicions that there may be more to the story. Why has this mountain, potentially the true Mount Sinai, remained so carefully guarded? The secrecy surrounding the site only adds to its mystique, fueling speculation about its true significance. From a theological perspective, the rediscovery of Jebel Al-Lawz as the true Mount Sinai could have profound implications. If this is indeed the place where God revealed his commandments to Moses, it forces us to reevaluate our understanding of biblical geography and sacred history. For centuries, the Sinai Peninsula has been viewed as the holy site of the Exodus and the location of God's divine revelation. But the evidence surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz presents a compelling argument that the traditional site may have been mistaken. If this discovery is true, it raises important questions about the accuracy of long-established traditions and the willingness of the faith community to embrace new revelations. As someone who has spent many years studying the Bible, I cannot help but reflect on the broader implications of this discovery. What does it say about the nature of faith and tradition? Are we willing to entertain the possibility that our understanding of sacred history may need to evolve? The Bible is not a static text. It is living and breathing, continually offering new insights to those who seek to understand it. Perhaps this is one of those moments where the divine has chosen to reveal a deeper truth, hidden for centuries, in order to strengthen our faith and understanding. The rediscovery of Jebel Al-Lawz as the true Mount Sinai challenges our understanding of both history and scripture. It invites us to reconsider long-held beliefs and traditions, to open our minds to the possibility that there is more to the story than we have been told. Whether or not we accept this new interpretation is ultimately a matter of personal conviction. But the evidence is compelling, and it offers an opportunity for a deeper exploration of our faith, our history, and the enduring mysteries of the divine. In conclusion, the new discovery of Jebel Al-Lawz as a potential candidate for the true Mount Sinai is not just an archaeological breakthrough. It is a spiritual invitation to reconsider the narratives that have shaped our understanding of sacred history. As we explore this new possibility, we are forced to grapple with questions of faith, tradition, and the ongoing search for truth. Whether or not Jebel Al-Lawz is the true Mount Sinai, one thing is clear. The journey of discovery is far from over, and the mysteries of the Bible continue to unfold before us. The discovery of Jebel Al-Lawz as a potential candidate for the biblical Mount Sinai has sparked intrigue, excitement, and, yes, skepticism. But one of the most perplexing aspects of this entire narrative is not just the mountain itself, nor even the compelling physical evidence, but the secrecy surrounding it. Why has this site, which could potentially be the true location of Mount Sinai, remained so hidden, isolated, and inaccessible? The idea that this sacred site has been deliberately concealed by authorities raises more questions than it answers. What exactly are they trying to protect, and why is this particular location so tightly controlled? In the modern world, the pursuit of truth is often seen as a noble and open endeavor. Researchers, explorers, and archaeologists dedicate their lives to uncovering the mysteries of our past, hoping to reveal the untold stories of history. And yet, when it comes to Jebel Al-Lawz, the situation is radically different. The Saudi Arabian government has imposed strict restrictions on the region, limiting access to the mountain and the surrounding areas. This includes military patrols, barriers to entry, and the confiscation of equipment from explorers. Even more striking, those who have tried to document the findings at Jebel Al-Lawz have faced harsh opposition. Satellite images of the region show inexplicable distortions, further complicating the story. Why has this remote mountain, located in a barren desert, been placed under such intense scrutiny? The question of why Jebel Al-Lawz has remained hidden is not just about physical barriers or restricted access. There is a deeper, more profound question at the heart of this secrecy. Why is the location of the true Mount Sinai being guarded so fiercely? Could it be that the site holds something far more significant than just ancient rocks and carvings? Could it be that the discovery of this site is so important, so transformative, that it threatens to unravel centuries of religious, historical, and political narratives? The answers to these questions may lie in the very nature of what this discovery represents: a potential challenge to long-standing beliefs, religious tourism, and even political control over sacred sites. In order to understand the secrecy surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz, it is important to consider the implications that such a discovery would have on both religious tradition and geopolitical dynamics. For centuries, the Sinai Peninsula has been the location of Mount Sinai in both Christian and Jewish traditions. Pilgrims have visited the area for centuries, tracing the footsteps of Moses and seeking spiritual connection with the mountain where God delivered his law. The Sinai Peninsula has thus become an integral part of the religious landscape, a place where history, faith, and tourism intersect. But what happens if we challenge this narrative, suggesting that the true Mount Sinai is not in Egypt but in Saudi Arabia? Such a revelation would have massive implications, not only for religious beliefs but for the economies built around religious tourism. Consider the immense industry that has sprung up around the traditional location of Mount Sinai. Religious tourism in Egypt is a major economic driver, with thousands of pilgrims visiting the Sinai Peninsula every year. For many Christians, Jews, and even Muslims, the Sinai Peninsula represents the physical embodiment of biblical history, where the divine touched the earth in a way that changed the course of human history. If Jebel Al-Lawz were to be recognized as the true Mount Sinai, it could mean the collapse of an entire religious tourism industry that relies on the Sinai Peninsula as a sacred pilgrimage site. The financial impact of this shift could be staggering, affecting not only local economies, but also religious institutions that have long relied on the historical significance of the Sinai Peninsula. Beyond the economic impact, there is also the question of religious identity and tradition. The Sinai Peninsula has been a central part of religious teachings for centuries. For many, it is the very place where God's law was given, a place where the covenant between God and Israel was solidified. If the true Mount Sinai is located elsewhere, it would force a fundamental reevaluation of how we understand biblical history. It would challenge our preconceived notions about the geography of the Bible and force us to reconsider the spiritual and historical importance of other regions, such as Saudi Arabia. This could be deeply unsettling for many who have spent their lives believing in the traditional location. Change is often difficult, especially when it comes to matters of faith and tradition. But the secrecy surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz may go beyond just the impact on religious beliefs or tourism. It could also be tied to political factors, particularly the role of Saudi Arabia in controlling access to sacred sites. Saudi Arabia is home to some of the holiest sites in Islam, including Mecca and Medina, and it has long guarded its religious and cultural heritage. In recent years, there has been increasing tension around the question of religious authority in the region, with various countries vying for influence over sacred sites. If Jebel Al-Lawz is indeed the true Mount Sinai, it would add a new layer of complexity to the region's religious and political landscape. Saudi Arabia could be seen as the custodian of a site of immense religious significance, one that is not traditionally associated with Islam but with Judaism and Christianity. This would undoubtedly shift the balance of religious power in the region, with the potential for new alliances, rivalries, and conflicts to emerge. The secrecy surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz also raises the question of how information is controlled in the modern world. In the age of technology, where information is more accessible than ever before, why is it so difficult to access the truth about this site? Satellite images, drone footage, and other technological tools have made it easier than ever to document and study remote locations. Yet, despite these advancements, Jebel Al-Lawz remains largely unexplored by the global scientific community. This is not simply a matter of logistical challenges. It is a matter of deliberate control. The Saudi Arabian government has consistently restricted access to the site, even going so far as to confiscate equipment from explorers and researchers who attempt to study the area. Why is this the case? What is so dangerous about the truth that it must be hidden away? One possibility is that the secrecy surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz is part of a larger effort to protect the integrity of religious narratives and political authority. Governments, religious institutions, and even local communities often have a vested interest in maintaining certain narratives. These narratives provide a sense of continuity, identity, and power. If the traditional understanding of Mount Sinai were to be challenged, it could have far-reaching consequences. The power structures built around these sacred sites could be destabilized, and those who have long held control over religious and cultural narratives could face significant challenges. In this context, the secrecy surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz may be a way to preserve the status quo and protect powerful interests. But secrecy in and of itself carries a profound lesson. Throughout history, secrets have always had a way of being revealed. Whether through archaeological discoveries, technological advancements, or the persistence of truth seekers, hidden truths eventually come to light. The very act of keeping something hidden often adds to its mystique, creating an allure that attracts those who are determined to uncover the truth. In this sense, the secrecy surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz may be part of a larger divine plan. Could it be that the mountain has been hidden for a reason, waiting for the right moment in history for its significance to be fully revealed? As I reflect on this mystery, I can't help but draw parallels to other moments in history when secrets have been kept for the sake of power, control, or preservation of tradition. Throughout the ages, humanity has witnessed the uncovering of ancient truths, hidden tombs, forgotten manuscripts, and buried cities that have forever changed our understanding of the world. The secrecy surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz may be just one more chapter in this ongoing story of revelation. But the question remains, what will happen when the truth finally comes to light? Will we be ready to embrace it, or will we resist it, clinging to the comfort of long-held beliefs? In conclusion, the secrecy surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz is not just a matter of physical barriers or restricted access. It is a profound symbol of the forces at play when it comes to the control of sacred history, religious identity, and political power. Whether for economic, theological, or geopolitical reasons, the mountain has been hidden from the world for far too long. But as with all secrets, the truth has a way of emerging when the time is right. The question is not whether the truth will be revealed, but when and what we will do with it once it is. For now, the mystery of Jebel Al-Lawz remains a secret, but the search for answers continues. The world will eventually know the truth. The only question is, will we be ready for it? As we stand on the precipice of this profound discovery, the mystery of Jebel Al-Lawz as the true Mount Sinai continues to captivate and challenge our understanding of biblical history. For centuries, the Sinai Peninsula has been seen as the sacred site of Moses' encounter with God. But new evidence from Jebel Al-Lawz in Saudi Arabia forces us to question long-held beliefs. The geographical, geological, and archaeological findings at this remote, hidden mountain align strikingly with the biblical account in Exodus, suggesting that the true Mount Sinai may be far from the traditional location we've all come to accept. But the real question is not just about the mountain itself. It's about what this discovery means for each of us, for our faith, and for the way we view the Bible and history. The secrets surrounding this place, the deliberate efforts to keep it hidden, raise important questions about the control of sacred knowledge, the nature of tradition, and our willingness to embrace new revelations that could change the way we understand the divine. It is a reminder that the search for truth is never easy, and sometimes the most profound discoveries are hidden for a reason. As we continue to unravel the mysteries surrounding Jebel Al-Lawz, we are called to reflect on our own spiritual journeys. Could it be that the divine is urging us to challenge long-standing beliefs, to question what we have been taught, and to be open to new truths that may reshape our understanding of God's plan? This discovery is not just about a mountain. It's about the faith that drives us to search for truth, to seek a deeper connection with the divine, and to remain open to the possibility that the answers we seek may be hidden in places we least expect. I invite you, the viewers, to continue this journey with us. What do you think about the evidence we've uncovered regarding Jebel Al-Lawz? Do you believe this could be the true Mount Sinai, or is it just another theory that falls short? The conversation has only just begun, and your thoughts, insights, and opinions are crucial to this ongoing exploration. I encourage you to share your comments below, engage in the discussion, and share this video with others who might be interested in uncovering the truth with us. Don't forget to subscribe to God's Advice for more thought-provoking content that challenges the way we think about faith, history, and the divine. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss our future videos as we continue to dive deep into sacred mysteries, hidden truths, and the profound wisdom that the Bible offers us today. Your support helps us grow and brings us one step closer to uncovering the truth together. Thank you for being part of this incredible journey with God's Advice. Remember, the search for truth is a collective effort, and every step we take brings us closer to understanding the deeper mysteries that lie before us. Let's continue seeking, questioning, and growing in faith together. God's wisdom is waiting to be uncovered. Join us next time as we explore even more of the divine truths hidden in plain sight.